you want to show your video, but you're muted. So now, how do we do it differently? Is to choose the right word from your side and to chat. So we have different possibilities in terms of trying to show our emotions. The basic emotion is the verbal emotion. The first and foremost is verbal, which is going to create an impact of only around 7% when you actually exhibit it. I'm sure all of you will want 100% in terms of outputs and outcomes. But when you are not showing the right emotion intelligently, the 100% becomes less and less. And by choosing to be only verbal, you're choosing to only use only 7% of your emotions. But the rest of the 93 is not being put into use. Now, someone is saying voice is getting echoed, and we are trying to mute all of you, and I will be the only person speaking. Thanks for that message which we are seeing. I'm sure it is getting better and better now. If it is echoing still, you might have to tell us. Thank you very much. So, when we show our emotions with only verbal communication, we are only restricting our emotional intelligence to 7% output. And when we are able to actually go beyond verbal emotions, but by also being visual as well as vocal, then we are extending the emotions to become 100% impactful. And the visual is the most important one. 55% of your impact is created by the emotions that you display visually. It could be your body language, it could be your way of gesturing, it could be the way that you are physically using your body to convey what you think in your mind. And the 55% visual is the most effective thing that we have to use it appropriately. And the verbal is what normally we concentrate. You see this happening? Verbal communication is what we prepare for. Verbal communication is what we try to just script it. And we think that if we speak the script that we have prepared, then we will get 100% of the output. But the 100% of the output is not going to come only from verbal emotional intelligence, but it should be verbal for 7% and visual for 55%, and the rest of the 38% is coming from your vocal communication. The vocal communication is the way that you speak, the tone, the inflection, the connecting the dots, the examples, the introductions that you give, the connections that you make, and the relevance to the audience that you try to speak up to. Those kind of things are going to be packaged in emotion. So, first and foremost, in the emotional intelligence program in the workplace, we will normally introduce you about why does it matter at work as well as at home, and how do we perceive what is happening with others as we are seeing them, we are hearing from them, and we are watching the script. So how do we use those emotions, and how do we manage our own emotions, and how do we understand in a group setup the emotions of different people, and how do we prepare ourselves to become better and better over a period of time. So emotional intelligence in a nutshell, it is choosing and speaking with right emotions intelligently by verbal, vocal, and visual. This is the first part. But how do we really make this 100% impact? In our program, you will just get into some assessments. The assessments will entail you to know about whether you are very clearly self-aware about yourselves, because emotional intelligence can be there only when you are clearly aware about what you are, who you are. It is like the 5W1H we talk about, the what, when, where, who, why. If you are not very clear about the what, the when, where, who, you cannot try to just choose the right emotion. The why part will not be clear. Only when you're clear about the what, when, where, who, why, you'll choose how to really display your emotions. So we are going to talk about in the program the 5 Ws and 1 H of emotional intelligence. So what, where, what, when, where, why, when, and how. And there are 4 quadrants of emotional intelligence which we will talk about. The first quadrant is being self-aware. This is easy is what we think, but it is not as easy as it sounds. For example, if I ask you, are you clearly aware of what you know and what you don't know? We choose to probably say, yes, I know what I know and I know what I don't know. But if I give you a sheet of paper and ask you to fill it up in one side, what you know, and in another side, what you don't know, generally the egotistic mind state of all of us as human beings, we try to select a lot of concepts under the topic what I know, and we choose very little to mention in what I don't know. But rather, if you really introspect and retrospect, introspection is seeing yourself within, and retrospection is hearing from outside what you are. Then you will see the difference. I might probably think that I'm a great communicator, but someone else might tell me that the communication is probably not very clear. So the perception of someone should not become the reality because you want to choose the right emotions. But if the perception is reality, you're not self-aware. So the first quadrant of emotional intelligence is all about how we can become self-aware about what we are and what we are not. You might ask me why it is important. You might ask me why it is relevant in the workplace. Now, consider that I am a person. I am a manager of a team of 8 members. If I am not aware about what I am and what I know and what I don't know, how am I able to go to the team members like the 8 members who's working in my team? How am I going to address the stakeholders? How am I going to address the input and output that is expected out of the team? It is not easy to do. So, if I am not self-aware, what I know and what I don't know, if it is not very clear, then it is not even wise for me to think about the next steps in emotional intelligence. Now, what do you mean by becoming self-aware? If you are self-aware, you are able to become confident, you are able to become at ease to use your communication. It can be oral communication, it can be written communication, it can be interpersonal skills that you want to develop, and so on and so forth. So, self-awareness, the techniques for how do we become self-aware about what we know and what we don't know, is something which is very, very clearly we cover in the workshop. And the workshop is this scheduled, which is coming up on 3rd, and I'm sure in your hand. Definitely, you see a lot of topics that we are covering emotional intelligence and that. So, as we have covered the verbal, vocal, and visual, which makes an impact of choosing the right emotions. The self-awareness is helping us to become more confident in trying to do what we want to do. When we do what we want to do, just self-awareness is not enough. Self-awareness should lead us to become self-managing and self-control. So self-control, self-management goes as the next point. So being self-aware should lead us to become more and more self-control oriented and more self-management oriented. Let me give you a quick example here. When I was waiting for a flight to catch and when I'm in the airport and when I'm seeing an SMS in my mobile that the flight is cancelled, what kind of emotion that you will choose to display is what I'm going to now speak. Now, imagine the situation. You have a ticket, you have passed through the security, you're waiting in the gate to get into the flight, and get an SMS that your flight is cancelled. Now, consider this. You can choose to have multiple emotions. The first emotion is rather being very emotional about how can it be cancelled. I am already very inside. Now let us say that I get over emotion here and then go and shout. My reaction is to shout, not to be logical, but I'm shouting at the person saying, "Why are you cancelling the flight?" This poor girl probably was in the desk, might probably simply say, "I'm not sure. Let me get back to you." Oh, you're not sure? Then I got an SMS. What is this? You're showing your SMS. Now this girl is still going to be apologetic, saying that, "Sir, I don't have enough details. Let me come back to you. Can I just come back to you in a few minutes?" Now you're shouting at the peak, saying that you have cancelled the flight and you have sent the SMS and you are not aware about whether I'm going to get a flight or not. Now imagine for a moment, if you're emotionally intelligent, you will choose to probably act like what I did on that day. I just went to the desk and asked, by the way, I got an SMS. This flight got cancelled. I was going to understand. And I know that you have a 10:30 flight. Is it feasible for you to put me in that flight? Or are you going to put me into some other flights? Because I'm seeing Indigo is having another flight, Jet is having another flight, and things like that. I'm saying when I was supposed to fly in Malaysia. Now this lady is saying, "Sir, we have arrangements, but I'm still yet to get the concurrence of my team lead, who was to tell which flight, how many members, who I am aware that I have to say, but please wait." Now think about it. I'm emotionally intelligent in the way to choose to ask the right question, and I get the right response. But the other person chooses to ask the wrong question, gets the wrong response. Sometimes you can even go to the worst level where the person might stay simply in the desk saying, "I am not cancelling the flight. I am not the authority. Go and ask who cancelled the flight." Now, the other girl is also throwing emotions. We are also throwing emotions. It is not going to work out. So, being self aware should lead to the second quadrant of how do I have self control? How do I manage this? So, we teach you about techniques in terms of how do we become self aware, not stop there, but also get into how do we become more and more of controlling ourselves and managing ourselves better. Because now think about it. If I am not controlling, if I am not managing myself, think about how you can manage others and how you can manage a team of people, internal and external. How you can try to manage a lot of people if you are a business head. How you can manage sales if you are business development head. How you can manage customer relationship if you are a program manager. Now think about it. All those things are important. So emotional intelligence in 4 quadrants. The first quadrant being self-awareness. You have to move to the second quadrant from self-awareness to self-control with management. Now the third quadrant is the most important thing. Are we aware about others? This is something which you can call it as public awareness or social awareness or professional awareness, because professionally you have to be aware about who you work with. Socially you have to be aware about who you are in this world. I mean, when we are outside, when we are at home, when we are in an environment, when we are trying to deal with things. So socially being aware, professionally being aware, and trying to understand how I can be different in showing my emotions is important. Now, logically, some of you, I mean, many participants are here. Some of you might think the fourth quadrant will be public control or professional control, because I said self-awareness is first, self-control with management is next, and public or social awareness is the third. So immediately we jump into the conclusion that public control we will want to make. Please understand that you can be aware about yourself, you can control yourself, but even though you are aware about others, you may not be able to control others, because human beings are not to be controlled. They are supposed to be managed with relationships. So the fourth aspect of emotional intelligence at the workplace is how do we bring in rapport, how do we build professional relationships, and how do we get work, how do we do work, how do we get work done from a number of people across different locations, across different teams, across different units, across different companies, which might be want to work with as an outsourcing kind of supplier vendor relationship and so on. So there is a good chunk of material which we will use it for you to become a self-assessing personality, to know are you aware about yourself, how do you control manage yourself, how do you make relationship management by knowing about others. So all these things is something which is a personal assessment that will enable you to make it. So once you make it, now you know the two parts I have covered. One is how do we choose to display our emotions, verbal, vocal and visual. Verbal being 7 and vocal being 38 and 55 percentage of body language. The second part I said about self awareness, the control and management of self. And the third part is trying to know about others, that is public and social awareness. And the fourth part is relationship management. Now I can bet the participants will agree. Emotional intelligence in the workplace enables us to build rapport, enables us to build relationships, enables us to have people becoming trustworthy and workable with each other, because all of us are supposed to work together. 1 plus 1 is greater than 2 is what they say, which means together everyone achieves more. So by emotionally being intelligent, we want all of you to be aware about how you can actually become someone better in displaying your emotions and also trying to do your work better and get your work done in the nicer way. Now the third part too is we had a lot of stress. In the brochure, if you see that, you would have seen why does it matter at work, at home, the first topic. Building positive relationships is what I just talked about. Because if I'm not building rapport, if I'm not a trustworthy person, you're not going to work with me, you're not going to be happy with me. Let me now tell an experience which I had in my first job. This is the third day in my first job. First 2 days was an induction program. And the third day, I was introduced to a manager who is going to be my manager, who I'll be reporting into. And the first interaction and the first job of mine in 1991, when I was told that Mr. Money is your manager, all the best. And I said, good morning, Money. And this Money character manager said, what is good in the morning? Now, when you hear someone very arrogantly saying, what is good in the morning, you tend to say, I'm sorry, sir. I also said the same thing. I'm sorry, sir. Why are you sorry? He asked me next. No, sir. I said, good morning, Money. You asked me what is good in the morning. I don't know what is good in the morning. Why you don't know? Now, think about it. In 2 minutes, this person, Mr. Money, made me to think that I have to quit my job. That's my first job. Because of the inability of him to show the right response. For example, if he is emotionally upset, I know some of you know that when someone tells you good morning, not so good morning, if you say that, there is a lot of bundles of emotions there. Not so good morning, if you say, then someone will ask you, oh, I'm sorry, what happened? Everything good at home? Anything wrong? Are you okay? Now, instead of trying to make such kind of emotions, if someone says, what is good in the morning, then it is not easy to work with. This personality is not easy to cope with. You cannot collaborate, you cannot cooperate, you cannot coordinate, and you cannot get results. Now, instead, for example, if I am putting myself in the space of Money, considering that Money is upset, let us assume that his wife scolded for something, and or his manager is not happy with him, or the clients are not happy with him in some or other thing, and he is not having a good morning when I'm going and saying good morning. If I were to be himself, now I think that emotionally intelligent person would say that not so good, but what is that you wanted to talk to me? Can we speak a little later if it is okay with you? Is probably a right emotion, because you cannot throw your emotions on me and then throw me also into an emotionally unintelligent position. So you need to be not just be intelligent in showing and throwing your emotions, you need to also get to work along with other people's emotions, because all of us should know very clearly we want to be independent, all of you, I am sure. But interdependence is much more important. From being dependent to independence is great, but from independence to interdependence is very, very essential in the workplace. Because how many of you are individual contributors? You ask this question yourselves. Even as an individual contributor, lot of things which you get as an input, which you give it as for process or next steps, you're really interdependent on many people, though you're an individual contributor. Now imagine if you're a manager, if you're a team lead, if you're a head of the business, you are not doing everything. In fact, if I am trying to do everything, I am actually going to be not the best person in management. I need to know what I should do, and I need to know what I should delegate, and I should also know how I should give control to others and distribute responsibility and accountability. So if I am not emotionally intelligent, I cannot stay focused in the stressful situations, because many of my colleagues in different companies, who I have worked with, all of them have been thinking that I am the right person, I will be the only person who knows everything, and I want to deliver, and these people who work with me are stupid. And these people cannot get results. I have to help them. I have to be hands-on. Now think about it. If you are wanting to become hands-on because you are the only perfection-oriented personality in the world, then you will try to take a lot of work, and lot of work will create a lot of stress, and lot of stress will create a lot of anger, and lot of anger will create total negativity, be it at home or be it at office. How many of you will vouch? We cannot shout at our manager, but we shout with all our family members, including even small kids. If we are not able to show our emotions correctly at office, we try to throw those emotions at home. Now, the reverse is also true. Think about not having a right a day or night. The other thing is going to be impacted by that. If I had a shout and if I had a problem at home, that is something which I carry it when I come to office. But when I am emotionally intelligent, I'll be able to know what I should be talking about and what I should not be talking about. And because you know that we are bundles of emotions as a human being, I cannot talk everything that what I think to talk to you at all the times, because work is important. And this is where we talk about how do we control anger, how do we stay positive in challenging times. And when we stay positive, we not only get what we want, and we also are able to get what we want from others. So if we are very clear about the agenda, if we are very clear about what we have as an input and what we have as a process and how we have to go through the process, who's going to do what in the process, and what is the kind of output that we want to get, we will be able to stay very positive in challenging times. And this is something about controlling anger, enabling you to become better in conflict management, enabling you to become better in interpersonal effectiveness. This is something which we cover. So we have an assessment of conflict management by Thomas Hillman, which enables you to know whether you are an accommodating personality or a forcing personality or an avoiding personality or a collaborating personality. Because normally you think collaboration is good, but you may be an avoiding personality. If you do not know about yourself, what kind of personality you are, if you do not know about the person and the person's personality, for example, consider that I am your manager. If I am a forcing personality and if you are a collaborating personality, we don't go each other well. I am going to be forcing, I am not going to listen to you. But you want me to listen and talk to you. Now, if I understand you and if you understand me, then only we can adjust. For example, if you want to adjust, by knowing Chandrasekhar is a personality who is forcing, you will try to be point oriented, logic oriented, data oriented. You will change yourself. That kind of emotion you will show. You will not be throwing loose emotions. You will not be trying to talk too much. You will be very to the point. And if I know as a manager that you are a collaborating personality, I will not probably try to be very forceful, but I would say that is there something that you wanted but I have not still given clarity? Is there anything that you want to ask me? Is there anything that I can help you with? Now, asking such questions, asking such probing questions is not known to many of us. In fact, I have come across in my 25 years of experience two rules in management. One is your boss is always right, and the second rule is the golden rule. When you are very sure about your boss being wrong, refer to rule number one. The rule number one says that your boss is right. Now, if this is the way that I have worked across for 25 years, now think about the kind of a stress that I would carry. Think about that negativity that I have. Think about the anger that I cannot vent out at office. I might want to throw all these things at home. Now, some of you and many of you will know work-wife balance or work-life balance or work-life integration is very, very important. Have you not heard about people losing their life in the office? Yes, I mean it. 25 years old person in Cognizant died some time back. He collapsed in front of the system. Now, 25 years is not anything that is a year to pass to the heaven and then interacting with God. But why does it happen? Probably because of the stress. Do you think the stress is just being built only by oneself? No, it is the environment. Now think about it, self-awareness, self-control is not there, and public awareness, social awareness is not there. He is not able to build relationships and he is stressed. So this is not just at home, this is also at office. Now we are going to discuss a lot of tips and tricks and traps about how can you become much more self-aware, how can you recognize the effect of your emotions. In fact, I normally say that whenever people form opinions based on your looks. For example, you're seeing this in the video and you're hearing me out. There are two things which you will now try to just quickly do as an assessment. For example, seeing me, you might form an opinion, and hearing my voice, you might form yet another opinion. I can bet people who are hearing only my voice might think that I'm so easy to work with. I'm a cool personality, very logical oriented person, very good in emotional intelligence. If you're hearing my voice, it is a soothing voice, it is a clear communication, no hassles to work with this person is what you might think. But now you try to add voice with my video. You're forming opinion based on what you see actually. Now think about it, what you see could be different from what you get, because it's not always Microsoft like Windows operating system. What you see is what you get. You might see a person who is actually having a little effect of making your perception to think like, oh my god, Chandrasekhar is looking very dominant, Chandrasekhar is looking arrogant, Chandrasekhar is looking like a person who we cannot work with. Now you're only making a perception. You are not analyzing me, but you're making a perception based judgment. This is something which we call it as in emotional intelligence, making wrong first impressions. Now, if you make a wrong first impression, thinking that by seeing me, my face, my body language. For example, if I'm sitting like this, and if I'm saying, okay, I'm going to talk about emotional intelligence, and are you all ready? Now you will think that immediately that this is a person who I cannot or I would not want to work with. It is because the body language is tight, it is very closed, and the person is not smiling, the person is not seeing eye to eye. All these things, you will think. Now, do you see that? No, in the first instance itself, I said verbal is not the end. Verbal emotions, vocal emotions, as well as visual emotions. Now, the body language is not easy. You know that is 55%. Now, I cannot change and choose my body to be different because I am not an actor, right? For example, we are not Kamal Hassans and Rajinikanths and Shah Rukh Khans and different personalities in Hollywood or Bollywood or Hollywood. Why? Because they can choose to actually make up. But makeup is only for a movie, right? No, it is not forever. You change makeup to different movies. Now, can we do that makeover in office for different personalities? It's not easy because you work with different people. You cannot choose your makeover and makeup for different people. Then you will be probably choosing to work in the filmdom but not in the office. Now you see, you might have a manufacturing defect, which means your body and your visuals are little different when you are posing arrogant, but you're not actually arrogant. Now that is where you have to really understand and be self-aware. If my body is not actually trying to convey what I really think and mean inside, then I may have to tell people that it is not the body, it is not what I have as a physique matters, but it is what I am as a total personality. Now, unless otherwise a leader or a manager is talking to the subordinates like this, the subordinates will choose not to ask the question. For example, none of my juniors chose to ask me, Chandrasekhar, you look very arrogant. No one said that to me. None of the people said that, Chandrasekhar, you are very dominant. No one said that. But when I chose to ask them a question by saying that, hey, look, I am born as what I am. Manufacturing defects are something which you have to ask the manufacturers, not the component which is manufactured. So you have to meet the parents of one person to ask about the manufacturing defect. But you cannot choose to perceive that what you perceive is right. Any one of you have thought that, no, I'm very hard nut to crack and hard person to work with? I asked my people. Then some of them said, yes, sir, it looks like that. Then I said, it looks like that, but I'm not actually that. And I'm going to say that I'm a down-to-earth personality. I said, no, sir, but the very look of you is threatening. Now, I create an environment where there is no conflict is going to happen. The interpersonal effectiveness is easy to make a collaboration for people to work with me. And that is where I recognize my effect of my emotions on others. So we talk about such tips and tricks and traps in becoming more self-aware and recognizing the effect of our emotions on others and the others' emotions on ours. This is the place where you will really come to a place where you will seek first to understand the other personality before trying to get understood. But most often we are all very selfish. Do you agree? We normally want others to understand us. When I got married and when I wanted my wife to understand me first, and when I gave a book of 7 habits of highly effective people, the 5th habit was seek first to understand and then to become understood. My wife said that, yeah, I want you to understand me. Now think about it. I am giving a book to her to enable her to think that she should try to understand me. And my wife is saying, you have to understand me. Now there is a conflict. I want her to understand me. She wants me to understand her. And such same kind of conflicts can happen in workplace also. A boss wants to understand the subordinate. The subordinate wants to have the boss understand him or her. And when we have the conflict not addressed, the work is suffering. The work is not going to happen. If we seek to understand each other, if you clearly know what I am and what I am not, if I clearly know what you are and what you are not, we will not be micromanaging. Consider this joke from Dilbert. The Dilbert's jokes are normally people portrayed as subordinates and managers, and they talk about in a fun way about how to manage better. So this cartoon was like the first cartoon, Dilbert cartoon. Why are you not working? A manager is asking to a subordinate. The subordinate simply says, sorry sir, I didn't see you coming. Now the answer is telling a lot about the manager and the manager's style of emotion. Am I right? Why are you not working is the question from the manager. Sorry sir, I didn't see you coming is the answer. Now, if I am such manager, you will work only when I am around because you have to work. If I am a better manager with emotional intelligence, even on a Sunday, you might want to come and work without me knowing, because you know that is your responsibility. You know that is your accountability. You know who to consult and who to get informed, and you will just simply do what you're supposed to do because you are emotionally self-aware, you have control, you are managing others, and you are managing the relationship. So the final topic which will happen is to understand the action points which you will want to make and better results, better outcomes, and that is what we normally have you as an action plan in this one-day workshop. So the last but not the least, the emotional intelligence framework, your own self-assessment. I can bet you one thing. You can assess yourself, but when you are only assessing, human ego is normally like this. We try to think we are good in everything. If I am asking you, are you good in paying attention to communication, you will say yes. Are you good in oral communication? You will say yes. In a scale of 5, 5 being the top score, you will always say 4 or 5. Are you good in written communication? Are you good in persuasion? Are you good in interpersonal effectiveness? Are you good in conflict management? Are you building collaborative relationships? Are you building customer orientation? All these questions, if I ask you, generally the tendency is to say, yes, I am very good about all these things. But if you are being assessed not only by yourself, but your assessment is also done by your friend, your colleague, your manager, your customer sampling, profiling personalities, and people who you work interdependently with in other departments. I may say I'm a very good personality in terms of fostering ideas and innovation. But someone might think about me as, oh, this Chandrasekhar, he will not even listen to you. He will not even give ideas. He will not even understand your ideas. I'm thinking I'm a great innovation person, but someone else might think that I'm not even listening to ideas. So please understand, these kind of frameworks are not only for your self-assessment. The self-assessment can have two perspectives. One is your own assessment, and one is about you, someone else is giving you an assessment. So you compare all the self-assessment survey, and you will understand clearly what you think about you and what you are really. It could be different. If 80 to 90 percentage is similar, absolutely you are great. But if 9 out of 10 people are saying something different about you, for example, you say, I am a very good person in terms of giving motivation, if you are a team lead. But people say that this person is not even trying to give my personal appraisal. Why? What is the logic about why I am getting less or more? He is not motivating me, is what they will say. So please understand, these frameworks for self-assessment will enable you to evolve a good synergy. The synergy is a word that is something which we use it to say that coordination, cooperation, and from coordination to cooperation to going to connecting with people, to communicate with people and collaborate. Because when you collaborate and connect with people, you get best output. So we teach you in this program how emotional intelligence in the workplace is going to make you to become more self-management oriented, to avoid stress and enable work-life injection of the balance to happen, and to have personal credibility for yourself, because I cannot only preach something, I have to actually make others also see that I'm practicing it. How to become more accountable by becoming flexible as well as distributing the accountability. So these are some of the things which we are going to normally cover in the emotional intelligence in the workplace. Now quickly, some of the questions I have in front of me. These questions are already collected from you. I'm not going to tell the names of the persons, but you will know when I read the question. These are questions when we ask them, what do you want to know from the speaker about emotional intelligence as a workshop. The first question, how to handle two bosses for an employee. Now, it is like this. Personally, you might want to have two wives or two spouse, but it is not at office we want two bosses. Two bosses are too many is what they say. Now, this question is asked by some person. How do we handle with emotional intelligence two bosses? The first and foremost, now I said about the 4 quadrants. Being aware, self, and being able to control self. Self-awareness, self-management, and control. The third quadrant, if you remember, I said you have to be able to socially or professionally aware about others. And I said about the fourth quadrant, relationship management. Now, if you want to handle two bosses for an employee, you have to handle professional relationship with two people at the same time. For example, if I do not know what kind of things that I have to talk to manager number 1, for example, the manager number 1 could be a technical subject matter expert, and the manager number 2 could be a person who is administrative, who is HR oriented, appraisal oriented, location oriented person, but the other person is the subject matter expert. So first and foremost, you have to evaluate these two people. why these two people are supposed to be actually your boss, because it is not easy. Otherwise, they may not say you. They may only say that both of us are going to be your managers, but they may not really clearly tell which key result areas, which role, which responsibility, which key performance indicators, which key results indicators is something which is owned by manager number one, manager number two. Now, if they are not emotionally intelligent, forget about it. I said in the beginning itself, you cannot control others. You have to only build relationships. If you want to build relationships, you will go and ask the manager number one, saying, "Sir, I understand that since I perceive that you are a subject matter expert, whenever I get a technical competency related coaching, can I get in touch with you? Whenever I get into some problem, can I get in touch with you for some root cause analysis? Whenever I get into some ideas, can I bounce my ideas with you because you will be the right person? Am I right in judging these kind of contexts? I can approach you, sir or ma'am." If you ask me, then you're right. You are emotionally intelligent. You are managing relationships with me. The second person, you might go and say that, "Sir, I appreciate if you can confirm that administratively and location wise, I am reporting to you, but when it comes to personality development, performance development, and my appraisals, is it something which you are assessing me technically, which kind of output, or administratively, whether I'm coming on time, going on time, how many number of hours I work, or am I absent, what kind of number of leaves that I want? Is it something this way that you want me to be working along with you?" So you be emotionally intelligent first, then make other person. That's what seek first to understand others. So that is what I would say. But again, I'll tell you one thing. The question is easy to ask. The question is like, for example, I'll ask a question now. By knowing a language and the alphabets, can we write a poem? Can we author a book? Yes is also an answer. No could also be an answer. Can any one of you, without knowing the alphabets and grammar of the language, write a book, write a poem? No. But do you think all people who know the alphabets and grammar write books and authoring poems? For example, I know English, 26 alphabets. I know grammar. I think I am speaking good English. But I have not authored any books so far. I have not authored poems. I am not in cinema field. So now think about it. What I'm trying to say is, yes, emotional, intelligent people will be the best in handling their work situations. But how far you are practicing it is important, because practice makes men as well as women perfect. If you're not practicing, then only attending a workshop will never help you. So those who want to attend the workshop, I would advise, be prepared to practice it also, because you're not going to change others. You're going to change yourself first, because be the change that you want to become. So two bosses, appreciate your key result areas and indicators and make them understand your perception and build the rapport with them, and understand what kind of responsibility and accountability that each of them share with you. And that is the right kind of a situation to be. Now the second question, how a person can control anger and stay positive in the worst situation. How many of you want to shout at a person immediately when you hear someone else is shouting at you? All of us. Which means, if someone is saying, "Hey, that was a stupid move," how did you just decide to do something like that? Like that, if someone is just shouting at you, it is like reprimanding in public, shouting in front of other peer members and colleagues. Definitely, we want to also reciprocate the same emotion. Now, think about not reciprocating. Sir, I think we should speak. Is it okay if we can go to a room and then speak? I'm sorry, I don't want to just like that discuss in this open space. Is it okay? You can ask. Now, this controlling anger comes with experience. It is easy to be angry. Now, think about it. Normally, if you have done 10 good things and only one bad thing in the performance appraisal, normally your one bad thing is what is discussed first. Now, think about it. You get angry now. But that is the nature of many of the people who are not emotionally intelligent. If they are emotionally intelligent, they will talk about your positives first, and they will also ask, "Is there anything that I missed out?" And then they will ask, "Is there anything negative at all? I just want you to take the first cut and let me know what kind of things that you think you have to improve." And then at last they will say what is to be improved in you. So Controlling anger and staying positive is possible only when you choose the right verbal script. I would rather ask you to write a mail without the to and CC when you are in an angry situation. Read that mail again and again and make it become shorter and sweet. It is in presentation and communication skill, we call it KISS principle. Keep it short and simple. It will become more logical. For example, I wanted to tell you that what you shouted at me is not good, and I wanted to tell you that I'm not that stupid is the first mail I would have written. But now you will say that in the revised mail I would say, though you shouted at me, I just wanted to put forth a small number of points for you to understand how I have been able to deliver better. The point number one. Point number two. That is the way to actually become positive. If you are also emotional and the other person is also emotional, the emotion plus emotion without intelligence becomes a commotion. So don't get into that. How can AI help manage our office spaces manage better? Now that is what it is. Again, office spaces to be managed is the work. It is like the poem to be written or the book to be written. Where you use is not something which we teach. For example, when we teach language, we don't say that you can write love letters or leave letters or books or mails. We only teach alphabets, we only teach now grammar, we only teach how to use it. Whether you use it for personal love letter or leave letter or any purpose is yours. It is the same way. For example, if I have restricted space, if I have to do something with that space to be distributed to many, definitely you and me are not going to become magicians, by knowing emotional intelligence. But we have to really work out, is it number of shifts I can increase? Is it number of workspaces I can increase? Is it the cubicles I can decide differently? Is it the design of the work environment will make me to accommodate more people? Is it rooms I can abolish and everyone will only have no cubicles but only a workstation? All these things are being emotionally intelligent about everyone. I'll tell you, I am from Intel Corporation. 106,000 employees across Intel are using the same size cabin space. Be it chairman, be it vice president, be it a new employee, it is the same size cubicle. Now think about it. The spaces are managed well in Intel. Do you agree? 106,000 employees, no difference. But in some other companies, you can see if a person is with a cubicle, he is probably a lead. If a person is a manager, a cubicle plus 2 chairs. If a person is with a room, maybe a general manager. Now think about it. This is again being emotionally intelligent and saying that this is an open office. All of us are occupying only a workstation. So that's the answer. How can I manage work-life balance? I talked about it. No, don't try to do everything by yourselves. If everything is to be done by yourselves, in the world you are going to be the only one person, which is not going to be a good situation. It is not to be done by only oneself. You have to identify who does what, distribute and empower people and delegate it to people. That is called do, dump or delegate. Because I cannot do everything by myself. Even in this conference which we are organizing, there are at least 10 people working on 10 different things and we are able to host it here. It is not me alone here. So you have to really make work-life balance to integrate the work with life and understand what is priority at what time and do delegate down. How can we create a long-term discipline despite how we feel inside? So discipline and the feelings. Normally, many of us think that the heart is going to think. Think from the heart, they say. Unnecessarily, don't put your heart into multi-purpose usage, and you may get a heart attack. So heart will never think. Your brain only will think. So if you hear some people saying that think from your heart, they are only trying to say that be emotionally intelligent, understand my emotions. If you use only your left brain and choose not to even think that there is a right brain, you will not be emotionally intelligent. Most often, all of us use only the left brain, which is logical. Because we are all tuned. Everything is number oriented in the office, in the education, in the ranking system, and so on and so forth. And hence, the discipline comes when you use a interdisciplinary brain function of left and right. The left is logical and the right is creativity. The left and right has to be balanced. And guys, you should know, generally ladies are known for their right brain use and gents, male, are known for their left brain use. Now, do you know that if the left and right work together, you get better output? I'm not only saying producing kits, it is anything and everything, even results for office. Way to understand the people, this I covered it already. Being self-aware, being aware about us enables us to control and manage, and then we go on to understanding others and building relationships. How deep a manager should be understood? How deep should a manager should be involved emotionally with this team? There's a very simple answer, but there's a curious answer here. I should know something more than what my manager knows about the topic, and I should know something less than what my team knows about executing it. If I know much more than the team, then I should be only executing it. I should not be giving it to others. So emotionally, you should know that when to give control. Normally, I say an example. I may be a great parent, but when my kids are getting married, I cannot get into the first night room. You understand what I mean, right? We have to delegate. We have to make them responsible. We have to make them accountable. So you should know a little more than your boss because you have to strategize and plan. But you have to know a little less than your subordinate in terms of executing it. So that's the level of emotional intelligence. Benefits of this webinar in my workplace. I'm sure that I really talked all the benefits so far. So that is an answered question. How do I generate a positive lead? I can bet. If you're emotionally intelligent, you can leap forward. Leap forward, I'll now explain what it is. Listen, L for listening, E for empathizing, A for analyzing, P for probing. For sales and business development, if you want to leap forward, leap ahead, listen better, empathize better. Empathizing is not sympathizing. I don't want you to cry along with others. I want you to try along with others. So solve their problems, understand their situations, understand their importance, and understand their customers for whom they are working, and try to just empathize. Listen, empathize, and analyze. I talked about the 5W1H: what, when, where, who, why, and how. And P is for probe. Probe well. Divergent thinking is asking open-ended questions. Convergent thinking is asking closed-ended questions. So leap forward is a tool there, which we will talk about it in the workshop. And last but not the least, someone said depends on what the speaker speaks. So now I'm open for questions. Any questions? You can type it out. Thanks. And I'm sure you would know that UX Business Solutions is based in US as well as in India. When the questions are coming up, I'm just quickly giving you a perspective. So we are into training, coaching, and consulting. We can develop training calendar, learning and development services for you, and we enable your workforce to become better. And we want you to become right staff with right roles and capabilities to be created with right competencies. We have a lot of people who we impanel to deliver these sessions. I'm the program director for learning and development and coaching and consulting offerings. We have so many people for different areas. We work with you in terms of understanding your needs on managing yourselves, managing others, the teams and stakeholders, managing the business, and arrive at any topic that you would want to get into learning and development. And we offer competencies across people management, business management, self-management. These are areas which you can pick and choose based on the competencies required for several jobs. And this is what we call it as integrated business skills. And end. Wait a minute. So, me being a program director, we will work together with you to just see how good we can work along with you. And I'm sure the time is just getting close to 2. There are no questions, right? So far so good. I think it is not so far from good. So this is a short and sweet session. I want to have a little connect for every aspect of emotional intelligence. I'm sure the brochure is with you. And 3rd of September, we would invite all of you to be present, because this topic is very easy to neglect, because people think emotional intelligence is not important for my work. Emotional intelligence is not important for my home activities. But I can bet that emotional intelligence is the key for being happy at home, and a happy person is going to be a productive employee. And I'm sure you may have some questions coming up in your minds. Why don't I request you to just drop mail? You have mail IDs, you have options. My team also will get in touch with you with a quick kind of a survey, and we expect you to sign up for our programs and see you then. Thank you very much. Any questions?
One question about the problem.
Yeah, what is? Yeah, sorry. So, what is the question?
One second. She didn't type it. Okay, you can talk to her.
Yeah, I think you can go ahead.
Doesn't want to ask a question.
Yeah, please go ahead. No, you can now speak. We are unmuting you. I'm sorry, we are not able to hear your audio. Hello. Okay, we'll do one thing. Why don't we just get your question? And so far now, I'm not able to see anything, or I'm unable to hear your voice also. So why don't you type it out, if it is okay? Oh, he's better, thanks. That's what he says. It is about only the volume, and volume is a couple of members have been giving comment about the voice. We have been trying to fix it so far, I guess. Now I'm sure we'll do it well. Thank you very much, and thank you for your participation and patience. And I'm sure that you must have appreciated the importance of emotional intelligence. And I am the facilitator for this one-day program. And we do training calendar-based programs at your office also. Looking forward to get all your input so that we can make this program to become successful. Thank you very much. Thank you.